Today's show, we have a couple of guests for you to talk about some very exciting parts of the college. We'll talk about college for kids and also with one of our award-winning faculty. So my first guest today is Kathy Buzzy, who is our program manager for our youth programs here at the college. Welcome, Kathy.
Yes, thank you so much, Stephanie. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely, and I love to give folks a background on kind of who our people are. And so tell us about what led you to come here to Parkland College to be in your role.
Yeah, thanks for asking because it's a great story. My husband and I moved to Champaign about 3.5 years ago, and before that we moved from Eau Claire, Wisconsin, where I worked as the youth or the financial education manager for a large credit union. And there we oversaw our school site programs where we went in and hired 4th and 5th graders. We had interns with high schools, but working for the credit union, credit unions are all about giving back to the community, which fell in perfectly when I found this role at Parkland College, being a community college. It was just a great fit because there were so many similarities.
That's wonderful. It sounds like, yeah, just directly applicable, and it's transitioned you well into your current role,
Yes.
which is very much an orchestra leader of all of the things we do for youth.
Yes, many moving parts. Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about a few of those today, and maybe we'll start with what's coming up most immediately, and then we'll kind of expand out to some of our long-serving programs. But spring break is just around the corner,
Yes.
and you have some kind of new offerings for the spring break time period that maybe we haven't done in the past. What are those?
Yes. So we have some instructors that were available over spring break. It doesn't always work out. I've tried the last couple years, but this year I'm very pleased to say that we have 5 classes. So we have 2 culinary classes, and one is cupcake decorating. The next one is Indo-Chinese cooking. So there are 2 options there that are offered that Monday through Thursday. There's Dare to Paint and More for 2 different age groups that week as well. And then we're very excited to offer a graffiti workshop. It's all about the history of graffiti, but then kind of digging into how did it start and how has it evolved. So we're really excited to offer those. Those are open for registration now, and we'll be taking those up until that week before March 17th, the week of spring break.
Yeah, those are really cool offerings, and especially for parents looking to get their kids out of the house over spring break, maybe they'll be, rather than being on a device, they can come to Parkland and learn something new.
Yes, so we're hoping that's the exact hope, is to be able to offer some classes for those families that are staying in town and not being able to leave Champaign.
Very good, very good. Well, looking ahead to the summer, I know that's the main event for our youth programs at Parkland, and such a long-standing program as well, College for Kids. So tell us about what is College for Kids, and then maybe a little bit about what's coming up this summer and what that will look like.
Yes, so you mentioned long-standing, and it certainly is. It's been in existence since 1980, and just think of the thousands of students that we've touched through hundreds of camps. I'm so proud to be able to continue that tradition and offer such great programming. So College for Kids is for ages 6 to 13, and it's enrichment, hands-on, 2-hour classes that are offered in the afternoons in 2 weeks in June and 2 weeks in July. And those are all taught by local professional educators.
That's wonderful. Yeah, I know that you just talk about the thousands of kids, and what a really common story that we hear here at Parkland is our current students or even our alumni. I started at College for Kids, and then I came to Parkland, or I touched Parkland later on, and so it's a great kind of starting engagement for us as well, right?
Yes, it really is. And you're right with the stories. I mean, we hear in our brochure that just came out for the summer, it's how a mom went to College for Kids when she was young, and now that she has her own kids, the first place that she looked was Parkland's College for Kids. And her 2 daughters have taken many classes, and now they're featured in our brochure. We also hear the stories of how the Engineering with Legos class really had a strong influence on a child's desire to go into engineering. The stories are just endless of all the different um, influences that we don't necessarily know about at the time. But it's really rewarding to hear those stories as we interact with the people, the parents, the grandparents dropping off the kids. So we have many, many classes. We have over 70 classes this summer.
Oh, wow.
Some of the new ones are we have props for the stage. So a theater class to learn how to make your own props for the stage using foam and clay and faux fruits and vegetables. There's a design your own board game. There is, gosh, new art classes. We also have the favored, the popular favored ones, the Kids in the Kitchen, Master Chef, engineering with Legos. We also partner with Control Z to offer a robotics class through them. And Control Z is a local high school robotics team that we've partnered. This will be our third year partnering with them, and they offer 2 different camps in June and July. We also partner with the Champaign County Humane Society for Positively Pets. And so they will bring
Pause, spelled P-A-W-S,
yes,
right? Okay,
yes,
just checking.
P-A-W-S. Where kids can learn about how to take care of their animals, but also the role of what the Humane Society does as well. So it's so neat. There's just something for everyone. All of our camps are based around STEAM. So there is just, we have, there's Dungeons and Dragons, there's coding classes.
Truly something for every
yes,
kid.
there
Right?
truly is something for every kid.
That's
yes.
exciting.
Yes, and registration opens on the 14th, and through March 13th, it is our early bird registration period. So for every registration, you get $15 off for every registration. So there's still some time left. And then we do also offer scholarships, and then we offer $30 off for those students who qualify for free and reduced lunch at school.
Wonderful. No, thank you for that. There's just such a wide range of opportunities. And yes, the scholarship opportunities, I feel like there's always funding available for that. So to not
Yes,
forget, if you think
yes.
about the cost and you're like, let me look at that scholarship because that is an option.
Yes, absolutely.
How many kiddos this summer do you think, looking back to last summer and projecting this summer, how many kiddos do you think that we'll have on our campus? I know the number is always sort of awe-inspiring.
It is awe-inspiring, and we keep increasing our numbers. And if our registration is, any indication the way it's starting out already, I would say that we'll be over 600 that we will reach, and that's just in June and July.
That's amazing. So a lot goes into the planning, obviously,
Yes.
year round.
Yes.
So the logistics of it, but there are some job opportunities. So if there's somebody looking for a summer job out there, what are those opportunities where they're like, hey, I like working with kids, or I like planning things? What could they help with in the process?
So absolutely, we are hiring for College for Kids assistants. And so that means every class that we have, every instructor, every class gets an assistant. That assistant helps with classroom management, but then they also grab all of the students who are registered for the classes at the drop-off and pick-up areas. They stay with the kids, take them on their breaks, take them back to the drop-off pickup area, and then they do it all again for the second session. So it's a great summer job. It's just the afternoons, so if they're in a sport during the mornings, they've got their mornings free, or they just want to sleep in, it's a great opportunity. And we really, as long as you're 17 and older, we've had a few senior citizens that have worked for us and have thoroughly enjoyed it. The kids have loved them. But it's a great job for anyone who's 17 or older and maybe has some camp experience. But even if they don't, it could just be a love of kids and maybe thinking about being a teacher someday and going to be going to school, whether that's at Parkland or somewhere else.
Great. Yeah. Great first job or one of those early kind of try on the teacher hat for
Yes.
a while. So there are also camps for a little bit of that older group, teenagers that might be looking ahead at, hey, what's after high school? And so that's a whole other sort of collection of camps. And can you share those with our audience?
Yes, so that's our team programming, and that's called Discover You, kind of like Discover University, if you will. And what's great about this program is, like College for Kids, it's held on our campus, but it's held in each of the specific areas. So we have an automotive camp. We have 3 different camps in July. In that camp, they can learn how to change tires, change the oil, learn about an engine. We have stethoscopes and scrubs where they can learn many different areas within the health profession area. There's vet med. We have 2 culinary classes. There's girls' biology and chemistry quest camps. New this year is a welding camp that we're offering, that we were able to get a grant through the Fabricators and Manufacturers Association, and it's called Spark Force. And that's kind of their whole goal, as well as all of our camps, are to really reach those students starting at age 13 to kind of expose them to all the different areas that there are that Parkland offers, to see, hey, this is something that I've been thinking about, or yeah, I want to try it and maybe learn something new about maintaining a vehicle or welding. That's something that can be a hobby, something that you can do as you get older around the house with repairing things around the house. So there's just many
good life skills.
different, yes, yeah. And the same thing, we hear a lot of good stories coming out of that. And because they're talking to the Parkland professors during these camps, the professors can really talk to them about next steps that they could take, possibly like through dual credit and then enrolling then once they graduate from high school.
Yeah, we talk a lot about that pipeline of students, right? So they're
Yes.
little ones for a while, but then quickly, right, it starts to turn toward what is the future hold, and lots of opportunities from the camps to
Right.
dual credit and then enrolling as a credit student. So.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Great. Well, Kathy, where do people go to explore the camps, look at their schedule, and see if they may want to register? How do they find that information?
Yes, so our registration website is parkland.edu/CE register.
Okay.
And then for the College for Kids assistant positions, as well as I look for an assistant that just helps me. They start a little bit earlier. They start in May and go through the end of July. And that one is the Youth Program Manager Assistant position. And those are both out on parkland.edu's website. And if you just type in employment opportunities, they will be there. So the job descriptions are there, and then you can apply online. And I am already starting to interview for those positions.
Oh, great.
So, yeah. Please go ahead and if you know someone, forward that along. And then, as we said, College for Kids, the registration is open.
Wonderful. Well, any final thoughts to share before we wrap up our conversation here for our audience?
Check us out. We have so much to offer. It's so fun for the kids to be on campus. I always say the littles just feel so grown up, and they are so excited to go to college. And then again, as we talked about, the pipeline for the teens then, being able to check out all of the different camps that are available. And if you think it's not, you just maybe can't afford it, we do have the scholarships as well as the reduced tuition. So it's such a great opportunity, and I'm just so proud to be a part of it.
Thank you, Kathy. Well, it's going to be a great summer. We look forward to hearing how everything goes and seeing photos. And my own kids are going to be in College for Kids this summer, and I know they're thrilled. So thank you for making time and coming on the show.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk with one of our professors, Steve Rutledge. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Fatima Zahra Izinj. I'm from Morocco. My major is computer science.
My name is Adrian Zimbe. I'm a chemistry major right now.
I'm Ileana, currently majoring biology and environmental science.
My name is Jeffrey Lee. I'm a second-year student studying computer science at Parkland College.
My name is Max Duzan. I'm studying electrical computer engineering.
My name is Shayla Neverett. My major is kinesiology.
My name is Andrea. I'm a kinesiology major.
The good thing about Scholar, it was like an opportunity to know people and make some friends.
We all have different interests. Some are engineers, some are doing aqua, some to do with the sea, some are doing health, like myself. So it's very good to interact with students doing other stuff.
Science Scholars has given me the opportunity to overcome that fear of being insecure about a lot of things about myself, and also connecting me with a lot of people.
The best part of the Scholars experience was meeting the other people within the Scholars. Everybody has been extremely nice, and a lot of them are actually my friends.
The best is probably all the people. There's a couple of people from foreign countries, and I think that's super interesting, just meeting new people from different places and stuff.
The best part is definitely just getting to know people. I feel like when you're coming to college, it's very, very nerve-wracking and kind of where do you find yourself? It was just perfect for me because I feel like it was small enough to where I could meet people, and I feel like that was absolutely the best part of it.
Well, the best part so far has been the financial aspect. It makes it a lot simpler to be able to go to school, to have a full-time schedule at school, maintain the GPA, do the extra opportunities, spend time applying to other programs, and be a part of extracurriculars when you don't have to work as often.
The advices that my mentor told me, and also my professor, and how they teach us to manage our time, how to teach us how we can study.
Understanding that everyone gets where they're at through connections. Make connections, talk to people, use your resources. The program did a very good job at that.
Gaining opportunities. I know this coming November, I'm going to be going on a PI STEM trip, which is a very exciting opportunity because, again, I get to meet so many different PIs and understand their research and the work that they've been doing.
So there's really no negatives about the program in general. It's just they really care about you. They care about your success, and you just kind of appreciate that fact that you have resources, you have people that are behind your back.
Definitely the people, everybody in there kind of definitely make sure everybody's pushing each other and being the best student they can be, I guess you could say.
Don't take for granted the opportunities that you have. I feel like as the Parkland Science Scholars, the overall program, it has so many opportunities that maybe a normal person or just a normal college student would absolutely never get.
Just to be a part of this science community and to see all of the younger kind of generation, but then also people that are my age being a part of that and having opportunities still like that because of Science Scholars.
Welcome back to the Parkland Report. And our next conversation is going to be with Dr. Steve Rutledge. He is a professor of English and a member of our faculty. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us a little bit about your role as a professor at Parkland and maybe some of the courses that you teach.
Sure. Well, I was mainly hired to do developmental English, developmental writing, so to get students caught up to where they can take the college level work. But there was a move to change to offer more support in college level classes. Mm-hmm. So about 6-7 years ago, I had to go back to school and get some extra hours in so that I could teach college comp. That move is kind of stalled out a bit. So, but I still teach college comp, and the developmental classes are still there as well.
Right. So these are sort of the bread and butter courses of a community college, right? That you're seeing a lot of different students come through and have different goals, no matter what their major is.
Right. Yeah. If you're breathing, you can come and do my course. So.
That'd make a great tagline, right, for recruitment. Part of the reason that you're here today is because you're an award-winning faculty member at Parkland with the 2025 Teaching Excellence Award. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
So tell us what that means to you, and kind of what led you to becoming a faculty leader among peers.
Well, that's a very generous way to describe me, but I would say it does not mean that I'm the best teacher at Parkland, because we have many great instructors, and it's kind of like, imagine you're sitting around a table and you have a really big family, like 12 really talented brothers and sisters. They're into all kinds of really neat things, and the conversation's oftentimes about them. But then one day, these really talented brothers and sisters turn and say, "Hey, how about you, Steve?" And suddenly everybody's looking at you for a little bit, and it's your turn. Then it's someone else's turn tomorrow. Because I joked at our department meeting when they announced that I won the award that the only reason I won is because Angela Gulick and Seth Mendelowitz, whom I always nominate for this award, but who always refuse to turn in the application because they once again refuse. So I won.
It's your turn.
It's my turn at the table.
To be recognized.
It'll be your birthday tomorrow or something.
Well, congratulations, and it's certainly well deserved.
Thanks.
And that doesn't come out of nowhere, right? It's sort of a lifetime of work and working with our students and helping them navigate all of, learning those skills and navigating becoming a college student in many ways. So, as you're working with students and they're developing those skills, what are some of the specific things that you work with them on to kind of take their writing, right, from where it is today and to where they need to be at that college level?
Sure. Well, I often tell people that my job is, I don't know, maybe 40% social work and 60% content, because so much of what wipes students out really doesn't deal with the content so much as it deals with organizing, using time well, navigating the many difficulties in life that pop up, and so a lot of my job is just helping them understand the structure of being a college student, how to navigate that. I try in my course to create a system that's very easy to navigate if, your child care worker quits on you all of a sudden and you have really a rough couple weeks. I try to have a course that's easily accessible so you can get to the information and you can keep going and recover. But then, of course, there is the content. And fortunately for my students, I was not very good at grammar at all. I had what I call hippie English, and that's not everyone's fault, but they didn't care so much about grammar, and I kind of bluffed my way through by using the word existentialism a lot. And you must be smart.
It's all about expression, right?
Yes, but that didn't work when I got to the university. The first time I pulled out the word existentialism, this whole classroom laughed at me derisively, and I realized this won't work. And I got my papers back. I didn't know what a sentence was, etc. So at this point, you're wondering, how does this guy win an award, right? but in turn,
But what comes next, right? I'm
Yes.
sure paved the way.
someone told me what a sentence was. It's a subject and a verb, a complete thought. And it just suddenly, the structure of written language made sense. And my brain could kind of see it, kind of like a piano player suddenly realizes just what all the different chord structures mean. And so for my students, I really enjoy just showing them what a unit of thought is, because this kind of blows my mind. No matter what language, although I can't vouch for sign language, I don't understand that communication system, but every orthographic written language communicates with subjects and verbs. It can't be done. It always does. And so if you learn the structure of those, then suddenly you can say, okay, a semicolon, a period says I'm done with the thought. A semicolon says these two thoughts are related. And it all just kind of builds linearly that way. So I enjoy taking them on that journey because I went on that journey, and I love kind of being able to visualize just the structure of language now.
Great. In preparation for this interview, I saw your Spark uploads to our Spark system, all about semicolons and colons.
That's right.
And so what you do is so important to our open access mission, because what we hear a lot from the community members or students that are thinking about coming to us, it's really intimidating to say, well, I haven't been in school for a while. Maybe I didn't have success in K-12 in the way that I would have wanted. And writing papers is really intimidating to me. But to know that there's someone that's going to actually break it down and help people build out strong foundation is really encouraging, I'm sure, to them, but also to those of us at the college as well. One of the things that we were hoping to cover today is talking about innovation and how it influences students kind of in their academic endeavors. And one of the topics you've written about over the last couple of years has been the introduction of AI sort of as an input to this whole equation and this whole learning process for students. So do you want to share some of your thoughts on that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if I were to say what has been a big change from when I started in 01 here, but really got on full-time in 07. I remember in 01 being assigned a computer lab, and I really didn't know what to do with these computers that are in there. They were sort of glorified typewriters. I was one of the last people who actually did typewriter typing in high school, for example. We didn't have word processors readily available. But so just seeing how computer-assisted learning has grown to the point where now with AI, it could take over and really become the centerpiece. So my first order of business is to figure out how to think clearly about AI. So what I did a couple years ago in my English 101 class, I said, well, let's all get a ChatGPT account. And let's try some of these things they say it's good for. And let's look at it critically and see what maybe it's not. And so a really good metaphor for AI as far as writing goes, I think, is this. Imagine, Stephanie, that I gave you, for your birthday, a weightlifting machine that could lift weights. And you went out and you said, well, you know what? Our family's moving next week. I'm going to use Steve's weightlifting machine in this applied situation to lift those weights, and you're able to do it and get that move done quickly, and that's a great thing. But imagine 2 weeks later, you're going to the YMCA for your workout. You think, I know an easier way to do this workout. And you bring the weightlifting machine, and suddenly that weightlifting machine in this situation is lifting the weights for you, but this time it's not helping you. And so a bifurcation I make is are we using it for an application, something that will help us do our jobs more easily, or are we doing it to sort of circumvent cognitive gains? Because not long ago, 4 years ago, I was on the bus here. I take the bus to work, reading this book, writing across the curriculum. And the big push was, hey, if you're in chemistry class, have your students write. Because the process of writing is going to help them understand chemistry better. Same with math, history, whatever. But if you have AI, if you have the same attitude for applications as you do for cognitive gains, you're not going to get those gains. It's like having the machine lift weights for you at the weight room.
That's a great way of explaining it.
Well, that's kind of how I see it. So in consequence, in my class, with developmental writing, I keep it a million miles away because we're trying to develop a clear sense of what the structure is of language. And once you understand that structure, then all these, as I said, all these things build on each other. Just the other day, after about 5 weeks of developing our papers ourselves, I finally said to them, you're now at the point where you could go and you could plug this in to a light AI program, like the free version of Grammarly.
Okay.
The paid-for version of Grammarly will say, hey, how about you use our paragraph instead of yours? And a lot of students are tempted to throw that in there.
A little more than just a squiggle line under something
Yes.
to correct. Yeah.
But the squiggles, I think, that's just like having me at the writing lab where I tutor say, oh, you know what? I think you've got a run on there. That's okay. That doesn't rob you of the process that gives you the cognitive gains.
No, I think that's a really important distinction to make for students, because a lot of times students are coming to us and they're saying, I want to get this particular job, and it's a little bit transactional, but really you really grow as a person, and those cognitive gains you will have for your entire lifetime, rather than just a short term, I got the piece of paper to move on to the next step, right? And so becoming an educated person is more complicated, right, than just plugging into a machine and moving on. So I'm glad to hear that you're sort of ensuring that our students have a preserved learning experience.
Oh, we try.
While in your class. Sure. So is it easy to spot language that's developed by AI? I think that's probably what our audience would be interested in. How do you identify, as you're grading papers or reading through materials, if something has been touched by AI?
So the way AI works is it tries to predict what the next most likely word would be based on your prompt. So for example, I once asked it, can you tell me about a semicolon as if you were Snoop Dogg? And out came this schnizzle hizzle whizzle thing that it predicted.
I didn't know the conversation was going to incorporate Snoop Dogg today.
He sneaks into a lot of places you don't think he's
here. He arrived.
He arrived. I was fascinated. So then I threw in some others. I threw in Stuart Copeland, who's my favorite drummer from The Police, the band. Can you tell me about a semicolon as if you were him? And initially I was very impressed because, in fact, I was almost freaked out because it's capturing these voices of all these different people. But then I noticed, oh, it's the same pattern over and over. But what it does is it predicts what kind of, each of them included a simile. A semicolon is like. And it just predicted what kind of language would Snoop Dogg use, what kind of language. So what it does is it homogenizes things to the most likely result. So it's trying to predict what are the odds or the best result, and that's going to give you the same thing. So when I had students in my English 101 class, that's College Comp, write a narrative, a story about their lives, which has tremendous cognitive gains you get and emotional gains you get from writing about it. I had two students, and maybe they were busy, but they both wrote about older women who were important in their lives. And you know what? That language predictor for both, and they both used AI, the language predictor both produced women who had flour-dusted hands as they did their old family recipe in the warm kitchen. Both of them. I said, and so anyway.
Sort of takes the magic, that sort of intangible personal element out of it, right?
Right.
Makes it a little more generic.
Yeah, and that's what this system predicted. So it's always going to homogenize. And so I had another student who used AI. Actually, her partner used AI for her, and she explained that I had to explain to her that, your paper sounds like an 18th century Puritan. It's because it took your tone and it threw it away. So let's get back. And she did great. She recovered fine and went back and wrote as herself. So.
Right, and our students are probably a lot more interesting than AI, and so you've probably read about a lot of students' lives reflecting on those. But what are some of your what's maybe a favorite story about a student or different engagement that you've had with students over the years that really sticks out?
Right. Before I jump to that, I do need to add one more thing.
Absolutely.
Is that the programs are increasingly more sophisticated, and so I'm probably already outdated what I'm saying by, or if not by tomorrow I will be. But some of my favorite students, well, I love the vision that Dr. Lau spreads for us, that we want to create access, success, and value. And I really enjoy being part of the growth process. And you see lives really transformed. And sometimes you're just one of the stepping stones for them along the way. But there's some special students you realize, I got to be a real part of this transformation. And so I always think of this one student. In fact, his picture's on the the honor student wall, and I almost stole it one day, and I had to go put it back. So no, I can't do that. So I
Maybe
took
we can get a shot of it to throw in right here.
all right. Well, I can go. I actually went and took a picture of it with my phone. So, but he came to us not having had a lot of success in high school, and he joined my English 098, which is developmental. So again, you can come in at any level, and you're doing that. And the first few assignments, which were just paragraphs, just were coming back just all disheveled and torn, and I could see just he's so frustrated, almost to the point of tears. And as we're talking, I said, well, just tell me about the topic. And he could speak very articulately about the writing topic. So I said, hey, there's a new technology, which was new at the time, where you can speak to text. And at that time, you had to train it. It was a pretty lengthy process. It's not as good as it is now. It's great now. You can practically do anything now. And I said, well, why don't you try this out? And he was a bit of a techie, so he went home, he got the program, and he trained it. And this unlocked his ability to express himself in writing clearly. So he would speak out his papers and then kind of figure out how to structure them, what to add. I ended up doing well in my 098 class. Took me for 099, which is the sincerest compliment when they take you again. And did well there. And from all the way from developmental, he became an honor student. He got involved in a lot of the clubs. He personally felt that he wanted to change his body in terms of losing some weight. He felt like he wanted to, and he joined a study and did that. And he felt like that was a positive transformation for him. And so he just did all these things that sort of snowballed into this great transformation. And in the end, he actually applied for a job here, and he didn't end up getting it. But I thought, boy, he really wanted it because he felt very deeply what Parkland had given him, and that was a chance for me to be kind of a part of that start, and that's the joy here, seeing lives transform. That's
an amazing Parkland story.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing with us and discussing some things today. Steve, any final thoughts to share with our audience?
So I turned 55, and you start thinking, maybe I could squeeze 10 more valuable years in a job.
Yeah.
And I've come to believe that, if this is it for me, if Parkland's where I finish, it'll been a good life. I feel like we're very well supported here. We have an embarrassment of riches really at our fingertips. We have freedom to be creative, and I just keep getting challenged by the students as they change, and it's a joy to be part of their journey. So if this is it, that'll be all right for me.
Great final reflection. Well, that's it for today's episode of the Parkland Report. Please join us next time.